Hello everyone, it is Christine here and I'm back to share my inspiration for the current Roxy Journal of Stitchery Treasure Hunt project where we've got the prompt of treasured lace. But before I get to that, and you are probably wondering why do I have a monogram sitting on my desk when we're talking laces? Well, I had an amazing experience on the weekend. What started as a normal outing to go and visit Alex's mum and dad for lunch and to catch up with some other family members ended up with an amazing discovery from Alex's mum's past and also from Alex's dad's past as well. So Alex's parents have been busy clearing out their cellar and their garage below the house. And they've been getting lots of things ready and putting them out for what we call in Australia hard rubbish collection, where the truck comes around and picks up all the items that you no longer want. Now, Betty had a big pile, which is Alex's mum, Betty, had a big pile of goodies out for me. So cottons and fabrics and all sorts of things, some wools, etc. But just as we were leaving, Alex's dad was about to throw this blanket out onto the front nature strip where the hard rubbish collection would be collected from. And I don't know what prompted, but Alex's brother or Alex himself just said, "Oh, Dad, what's that?" And he said, "Oh, that's the blanket that your mum came to Australia with." And so Alex brought it inside and said, "Christine, do you want this?" And I said, "Oh, let me have a look." And so it turned out we couldn't see this straight away, but it had this stitched monogram on it, which is Betty's first name, so Elizabeth or Elisabetta, and then her surname, which started with G. And so this blanket travelled with Betty from Budapest when she escaped during the war. She tells a story of how she and her family waded down a river with gunshots firing out overhead. So just amazing. And so this blanket came with her, travelled with her to Austria, and then eventually made its way to Australia with her. And it subsequently sat down in the cellar in a wooden box, which I'll get to in a moment, for many years, and it was about to be lost in the sense of put out for rubbish collection, but instead it's come home with me because I'm planning to incorporate it into one of my treasury or treasure pieces for this Roxy project. So I've got 3 pieces. One that we'll be talking about tonight, which is my burgundy Bonheur piece, which is burgundies, golds, creams, a bit of green in it. And then I've got a treasury of stitches, or my dictionary of stitches, which I'm creating as a stitch along, but I'll talk about that in another video. And then I've also got a treasury of stitchy friendships, where I'm going to be bringing together all the squares of stitchery that I've been receiving as part of a swap that I've done with other stitchers around the world. So 3 projects. And this one, I think, could either go in this one because I am going to have gold, and although it's a goldy sort of mustardy colour, a bit richer actually than a mustard. So it could potentially integrate in, even maybe with some embellishment around it. And because I am going to have the green as a sort of a complementary sort of colour in it. Otherwise it will go in my treasury of stitchy friendships, because what better than having some stitching from that someone did so many years ago and has travelled, and it was such an integral part of that journey to Australia, and I guess making that home in Australia. And if it wasn't for Betty and Silvano, there would be no Alex, and there would be no, there wouldn't be my world as I know it at the moment. So a very sentimental and I think a very special piece. It's been clearly a very well-used and well-loved blanket. It has its holes sort of where there's been damage to it, and it has stains, etc. that haven't come out in the wash. But how lovely would it be to incorporate a section of this, and then maybe find some other ways to use other sections of it, because it's a beautiful densely woven wool blanket. So I'll put that aside. In terms of the other amazing thing that we discovered was a big box, a big like crate like thing, which Silvano, Alex's dad, had travelled with to Australia, which had all their possessions in it, and it still has in very faint paint on the top of it. It's got the family name, it's got Silvano's father's name, it's got the boat they travelled on, and it's got their address in Australia where they were travelling to. So that's another amazing bit of history that's been unearthed from under the house. So onwards now with the lace. So I've picked out probably, I think, only about 1/10 of my lace collection. Might be even less than that, but just some pieces that fit with this more sort of off-white, creamy lace colour, and including some of my most treasured antique and vintage laces. So this one is incredibly old, a vintage piece. I'll just let you have a look at that. You can see it sort of disintegrating in sections, but just the fineness of the work on it is absolutely inspiring. So that one will definitely be going in. And with these pieces that I've got, I don't want to be cutting them out, so they will be going onto the background in a whole sort of, I'll be keeping them whole. I don't want to be chopping into them, and I want to be kind of preserving them. So I think they'll be one of the things that I add towards the end of the process, because I'll want to actually be able to keep them at top and keep them prominent. I think some of these pieces you would have seen in a recent video, because I got an amazing little stash of antique laces recently that I shared. So it's just another gorgeous one. This is a handmade piece of lace. You can tell by the unevenness in some spots. Just incredibly delicate. Another lovely handmade piece of lace. Again, some beautifully intricate pieces of lace. These need to be fully straightened out and stitched down. But just the work on them is amazing. Almost like little bullion style, but I imagine they're wrapping around a thread or something. So as I understand it, there's about 4 different ways to make lace. There's bobbin lace, there's crochet type lace, there's needle lace, and there is tatting. And so I happen to have a bag of tatting, and including the little tatting object. I think they call it a shuttle. I haven't done tatting before. Not sure if I'm brave enough to try, but I've got various sizes of tatting here. So I thought that could be fun to incorporate, and potentially even to incorporate the shuttle in my piece as well. And I've even got the extra thread. So I'll put that over there. It's a bit like making a lace mood board, isn't it? And then some other gorgeous bits. Another bit there. So it's going to be a challenge, and I'm still contemplating, will I overlay them over other fabrics? Will I overlay them over solid fabrics? There's sort of merits to both. And sometimes if you want to, and I might use them to like frame a section. So if I had something in here that I wanted to frame, I could have sort of these around it. Aren't they beautiful? Sorry, I didn't hold those up to the camera. I'll just do that for you. Just stunning antique lace. And another one here. And some more beautiful pieces. That one's a lighter colour. Another incredibly delicate handmade lace. Just amazing, the work that would have gone into making these. Another piece of that pale cream. Some more of these lovely embellishments. And then I'm not sure whether we'll be including doilies in this collection or whether we'll get a separate prompt for doilies. That might be a bit of a wait and see, but I don't think I'm planning to stitch anything down for this piece with the lace. I'm just planning to assemble it and to continue going through my my other boxes and drawers of fabrics. That one's a newer lace, but it's a beautiful one all the same. This one I had two of, and I incorporated one of them in my which had a different border around it. Just an absolutely stunning lacework piece. It's divine. So I'd probably just have to stitch over the edging with a sort of a burgundy colour for that one. This one is absolutely exquisite. Not sure if it's a handmade or a machine made, but I think it might be, actually not sure, might be a machine made. It's hard to tell sometimes. These ones are definitely handmade. Lovely piece there in a lighter colour. Another one of the very old ones, and I'm lucky to have quite a good stash. As you can see, it's got some discoloration on it. So I've just dropped the pin on the floor, but it's just, yeah, probably easier if I do show it over my hand. Just lovely, and so delicate. I think I used a little piece of that recently in one of my Stitchery squares, but you won't have seen that yet because I don't post the videos until the my Stitchery swap partners have received their squares, so they get the full surprise of seeing them. Another amazing piece of antique lace. It's just divine. So I think I could almost have a couple of wall hangings if I wanted, just with the antique laces. Oops, there's a little thread on it. A lovely one as well. That's a more modern, but when I say modern, virtually all of my lace collection is either antique or vintage from probably, I think, through to about the 50s and 60s at the very latest, unless I've ended up with anything more recent through sort of op shop finds, but generally I focus in on the things that are vintage heading into antique. So this is another amazing one that I've got a beautiful length of, and again it is handmade, which is just incredible. So incredible. Just amazing. So that's a very nice length of that one. So again, I probably won't include all of that in the piece, but yeah, with my bigger sections, I don't want to sort of chop them up and have them damaged. Pick up that other pin I dropped. Let's put them in the pin cushion. Don't want to be stepping on needles. And then another slightly stained, but just amazing handmade lace. Just the design is so intricate. That's a smaller section of it, so I'll be keeping that intact, even with its little stainings on it. I think that just adds to the charm. Just having a look through. I've got a lot of doilies, but as I say, I don't know if the doilies will be in this mix, so I might not put those out. This one, I don't know if it will go in for this prompt or something else. Again, it's got its staining on it. I haven't actually, washed it. I suppose I could to see if the staining would come out, but it's just a lovely butterfly design. I'm not even sure exactly what it would have been, unless it was a little pouch to keep a little hanky or something in. I'm not sure. but even just, yeah, the backing piece and the stitching all around it, it's beautiful. So that will find its way somewhere into my treasure hunt, whether as part of this prompt or as part of another prompt. And then lovely little sections of lace like that. Beautiful embroidered. That one would be a machine embroidered, but definitely vintage. Another vintage one. Again, that one would be a machine one, but just, yeah, just divine. Just love these designs, almost like sort of feathers and flowers. So sweet. And because I'm going to be having the golds as well, I'll use this sort of coffee gold. Just love the scalloping on some of them and the edging, etc. I'll also have a few browns in this piece. I think if you've been watching Christina Creates, I shared some of this with her as well. She said it had a very Art Deco look to her. Another very old handmade one. You can just tell by the feel of them. Again, this one needs to be very carefully and gently pressed. Sweet little cotton one. So all the whiter ones, and I'm just finding a couple as I go through, will be going in my treasury of stitches, because I'm going for sort of a blue, white and blue, white, silver, and then different colour accents as part of that. So that's where those will go. Another beautiful one. Again, that would be a machine one, but yeah, still gorgeous. This one's very sweet. It's got little Bambis on it. Again, it's a machine one, but can't resist some little Bambis in my piece. Lovely flowers. Another sweet little flower and scallop design with threads attached to it. Lace seems to want to pick up everything in its realm. It's gorgeous little designs. Then I have a range of sort of broderie anglais style pieces. That one, I don't know if that one will be too light. That might move into the other piece. Just another broderie style one. Oops, that one's got my hair caught on it as well. Don't know. Oh no, that's an off-white, so I think that's okay. And then there's some that are more in the sort of almost yellow, but some of the creams almost verge into the yellow. Another lovely lace with flowers. Beautiful edging pieces. Again, not sure if that will be too light, but it can always go into the other piece. Little piece of this design almost looks like a little scene with trees or mountains or something in the center. Not sure if we'll get a separate prompt for like trims or gimps or any of those, but otherwise that can come in. Beautiful little cotton gathered piece. Don't know if that would have been sort of part of a collar, or it could have gone around the hem of something. Another sweet broderie anglais piece. Very scalloped floral piece. And I do have a few burgundies as well, which I thought I would include. This would be a more sort of probably, yeah, 60s piece. And then again a trim, so whether it comes in now or comes in later on, but it's the beautiful rich burgundy. And then a sweet applique piece. Oh, goes that way around, a bit more glitzy. Little piece of edging. Another lovely delicate lace. Another very fine one with little flowers. Another lovely one. Beautiful scalloping on the edges. Now this is a very special piece, and I don't plan to chop it up. It would have been a collar originally, I think. As you can see, it is just so amazingly intricate. Very, very age marked, but hand stitched and just absolutely incredible. So I'm thinking that could, might even have to form the sort of the center part of the piece, but that could, yeah, come out and be stitched down, because I don't want to cut into that. So I might just fold it over for now. I suppose it could even be folded over on the piece. I just want to have it intact, so if someone is having the wall hanging in the future and they want to sort of extricate the items from it, they are kept in their entirety. And then some beautiful little pieces there. Taking a couple of them off their little cards so we can see them properly. Lovely little handmade cotton, it feels like. Some more very sweet broderie anglais. Some of it's quite stained where it was wrapped around cards and just on the edging pieces. But I actually don't mind that, and it gives it a sort of a tone that's more like a golden tone. Another lovely little piece there. I keep saying lovely, pretty, flower, scalloped. These are the common terms. But it is delightful to have them all out and have some sections of them. Many of these I have a lot more than just what's here. Some of the very antique ones, that is the full quantity of them, but I've just taken little sections of some of them so that I will actually use them. This is a great project for that purpose. It's a bit of thread. This one's got a lovely ribbon and then got the sort of the cutouts and the embroidery on it. Then another lovely broderie anglais. Another sweet piece of broderie anglais. There's quite a collection of that. And another different one. And then there's some other little gimps. And some other sweet little laces. This is almost more into the sort of pinky colour, so I don't think that one will actually go for this project, so I'll just put it in my other little project bag while I remember. And then we will keep going. No, there's more to come. Always more. Now that one's probably a bit more white and that one's more white, I think. So we'll pop that in the other bag. There's ones like this that have a bit of a ribbon attached to them, so whether I use those or not. Another lovely little slightly gathered one. And then some more beautiful hand trims. That one's quite sweet as well. Sweet little broderie anglais circular piece. And then some more very old pieces, so very, very fine hand worked. Another very old piece. Absolutely lovely. Another piece here, crochet styled. And some more, just so delicate, hand created, just amazing. Lovely, a little bit of something stuck to it. Just so very, very delicate. Sometimes it is really hard to tell where the front and where the back is. I think it's that way. There's another gorgeous one here. That's definitely the back, so I'll look at the front. Some more of that lovely floral one. A gorgeous piece of edging. It's just so, so very delicate. And some more of the floral. And then another incredibly delicate handmade, almost looks like waves with little clouds. Sorry, hopefully you can see that. Just having a look what else I've got over here. I've got some more of, but I think these might, I think they'll be too, oh, they could possibly go in. These are more recent ones that I got with my remnant boxes from the bridal wear shop in Melbourne that creates amazing boxes. It's called Silk and Stitch, and they save up various remnants, and I've got gorgeous laces and embellishments and all manner of things from them. And there's another gorgeous one here, but it may well go in my dictionary of stitches, I'm not sure. Might be just a tiny bit too bright for this piece. And then these, I don't know if we count them as doily or as lace, but just amazing. Have a look at that. Have a look at the work on that. It's just incredible. And then I'll show you these. So Betty also is constantly looking me out goodies from her collection, and these were just ones that she sent home this time around. So these tiny little gorgeous doilies. So there's a few of those. So, and they're all different sizes. So you absolutely know that they are handmade. I think these were made by Betty's mum or possibly grandmother. I'm not sure. I've got to ask her. Have a look at this one with these just super fine little flowers. So I don't know. Let me know. Do you think they go in the lace work, or do you think we'll have a prompt for doilies? Then we've got this one, just exquisite. And again, I'm always finding new designs that I haven't seen before. Any that I get gifted from family, I'll never chop those ones up. They have to be preserved in their entirety. It's only the op shop ones that I chop up. I know it's a bit sentimental, but I can't. If it's someone that I know, or someone I know knows or remembers, I can't chop them up. Lovely flower design. And then there were a few other goodies that probably won't be for this piece. I mean, that's almost burgundy, but a bit more pink. But how lovely is this one? It's just so sweet. And this beautiful work on this little linen that's just so fine, incredibly fine. Oh, and there's still a few more of the little doilies as well. I'll take those ones, put those aside. And then if we are adding doilies, I do have others that I would love to include in their entirety if I have room, but I probably won't. But these little butterflies, I just adore those. And then lots of other just lovely little ones. This one, I think it's a silk embroidered. And then these ones, which are just amazing work. All done with knots and threads and different weights, just incredible. I've got a big pile of doilies there, and again, that is merely scratching the surface. Yeah, just so delicate, and it would be lovely just to have these incorporated. Again, just such delicate work. Could almost do a little monogram sort of woven into that picture. And love this as well. It's just incredibly sweet. And then found this one while I was going through boxes and thought, oh, that could be a nice place to put a little monogram. So kept that out as well. So I think that is, just a tiny portion, just a little taster of my laces as some things tumble to the floor. So what I'm thinking, as I mentioned, is it's a question for me of whether I put them on a solid background or whether I aim to put them on some backgrounds that will kind of complement them. So I've got my little pile here of the Bonheur Jour fabrics from French General, the Bonheur Jour. And I thought we could just have a little look and just sort of see how different things look on different types of fabric depending on the busyness of the fabric. So taking a doily, for example, it certainly, I think it would work well to have for this piece the browns on these sorts of burgundies. It's just a question of whether I use a patterned burgundy or whether I use just a plain burgundy. But I think that does show out nicely, and you can still sort of see the designs. The other way I would quite like to do it is have the sort of doilies overlapping, or the laces overlapping part of it, but then to thread stitch other parts of it, so having some space left around, because I really like when the laces or the doilies kind of integrate into the design, but then you can actually then the fabric is a treasure as well. So that's one to have a play with. Let's Let's see what we think would look good if we had a lighter fabric. So that wouldn't work so well. But you could have something like this sort of lace as an edging piece, and again you could be then stitching into the piece and making the piece quite decorative with it. I don't think I'll go for sort of lighter pieces. I'm just trying to find a piece of lace that I can have a look with. We might have to borrow this one out. Not sure if they will get a bit lost against that. I think they'll be better with a darker fabric at the back. Let's see how they look with quite a busy pattern. See, that looks okay because I think that the lace itself has an open enough sort of weave to it. If you had a denser lace, I mean, let's just use this as an example, probably would still be okay actually, because it just kind of adds to the design. This one's got a bit of green in it. For some of these that are a bit lighter, I'm actually wondering if the design would need to have a bit more of that slightly lighter cream. This is almost a caramelly cream. Could be okay. Just have a look what else is in the stack. These are great packs, the sort of charm squares. You can get the mini charms or the larger charms. I like to get both if I get a design, because sometimes the little ones are all you need just for a little edging or small piece. But these ones you're more guaranteed to get a bigger portion of the design, because even on the mini charms you're still just getting the same sort of sized fabric pattern print, so you might only get sort of like a square that has that on it. But again, something like that could work quite well because it's got the lighter colour that kind of coordinates with that, and it's got some nice sort of echoes between the design and the lace itself. But the good thing is I don't have to make any decisions yet. If I want to start playing, I can start pinning some of these just onto the fabric, but I don't have to decide until we get some more prompts. Just having a look if I can unearth anything else. See, that's definitely a lighter one, so I think that would have to go on something a lot lighter. Let's just see. And something like our beautiful collar piece. That could definitely sit on something like that, but it would probably equally look amazing on something that's quite contrasting in colour as well. So lots of playing to be done, and I love that colour coordination sort of process. So this, will be going into my wall hanging in some form, but yeah, I think I'll be letting quite a few prompts elapse and possibly even letting the sort of whole process unfold, but these will now all be going into my box for this particular project and piece, and that way I will have them at the ready for when I do decide down the track to put this piece together. So I hope you enjoyed taking a bit of a wander through a tiny portion. One day I do have to give you a tour of my craft room, but it will be well after I have finished all my Stitchery swap squares, because I have so much fabric out at the moment that it is kind of ridiculous, and we would not be able to easily move around and look at things. But I'm having a ball doing my Stitchery swap, just as I'm having a ball with the lovely ladies taking part in the Stitch Along that I'm hosting on my channel. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having fun with this project, and it's just lovely to see everyone's different interpretations. Not everyone has vintage laces. I've seen the lovely Tia doing a really super sort of inspiration from her mum and her wedding dress and lace from that. So there's all sorts of inspirations that folks can take. And I just, really look forward to seeing what everyone's going to be creating. So let me know if you do have a channel and if I haven't stumbled upon it. I would love to check it out. And I'll see you back soon with the inspiration for some of my other pieces for this particular project. Bye everyone, take care.